How's it going, everybody? It's been a while since I made a tips video, and I might even run out of adjectives for the title in the future, but for now we're still good. But I'm already taking suggestions for the next one, so get creative. The season's coming to an end and we're expecting many reworks and a new hero, so I think it's a good time now to step up your gameplay with some new tricks. But before we get to all of that, today's video has a sponsor, Epic Loot Shop. Not all of the items may be purple, but I'm sure if you take a closer look, you can find something you like. Father's Day is coming up in the US, the UK, and a few other places, so if you don't have something just yet, let me give you a few ideas. For one, this Jormungandr snake necklace. Wearing George around your neck, I'm sure he'd be happy about that. It's made of stainless steel with a silver look. Or this Viking longship as an incense burner. It is hand painted, so you get a unique piece here. Whether you actually use it to smoke up your room or just as decoration is up to you. And as usual, I do have a code you can use at the checkout. If you use the code FREEZE, then you get worldwide free shipping on your order. Check out the shop, there's lots of Norse-inspired necklaces, rings, bracelets and much more. Links, as usual, can be found in the video description. Alright then, back to the topic at hand. The first thing might be something very basic for many, but I still see a lot of players making a crucial mistake when utilizing superior block lights, or crush encounters, however you want to call them. Light attacks that turn unblockable when you attack into another attack. Many players, when they first discover them, have the bad habit of treating them just like parries, and that can backfire really quickly, because their first instinct is that they were just using them too late, aka they were too slow to react. Which technically was the case, but to be very clear here, I don't think anyone has the reaction time to crush encounter lights when a guard switch is involved. The last part of the sentence is really important, so let me explain. Switching your guard has a 100 millisecond delay. When you look at my guard, you can see how it first grays out, but shows the new direction already. Then, after 100 milliseconds, the guard becomes active. When parrying an attack, it is irrelevant whether your guard is active or not. This can be shown nicely when using reflex guard. As you see, my guard is grayed out, but in the correct position. This allows me to parry just fine. The parry mechanic ignores the guard switch delay. Now, this is not the case when using superior block lights. You are still throwing out an attack, and when you switch your guard and attack, then the 100 millisecond guard switch delay very much affects you. As you can see, the guard switch finishes and then your attack comes out. Many can probably now already guess what this means. Not only are the superior block frames on your attack not instant, but you now have to factor in the extra 100 milliseconds from switching your guard. The end result is that you cannot reaction crush encounter opposing lights, unless your guard already matches that of the incoming attack. For heavies, you have enough time to do this obviously. The other important factor is block and hit stun, so if you try to crush encounter combo attacks, then you need to be sure that your character has recovered from the previous attack early enough that you can throw out the light in time to catch the attack in your superior block frames. In short, if you're not sure, it's probably better to go for a parry. What type you choose, up to the situation, but superior block attacks aren't as universal a counter as many people think. I will go into more details about why backstep superior lights are absolute cancer in a future video, but for now, let's leave it at that. Now, for the second tip, no worries, that one's not as elaborate. It's more a little gimmick that you can use to mess with people. Projectile feats have different animation lengths, as I've shown you in the previous video. This makes some of them more viable than others, especially when we look at bows. Shugoki's is extremely fast, Nobushi's is extremely slow. But now look at this. The aiming animation does not always line up with the actual target selection. Depending on when you swap your target, after or during the feat activation, your opponents will have no way of telling who your projectile is being aimed at. This means you can force two players to dodge or risk eating 50 damage, or more depending on buffs and debuffs. The slower the animation, the more panic you can generate. This might not be the most healthy feature, but oh well, 50 damage projectiles aren't that great a thing to begin with. I don't know how long this will stay in the game, so have fun with it. Moving on to number 3. Movement on guard break punishes. Some heroes, not the whole cast, have quite a bit of extra movement when throwing their attacks. Like this example here, if you hold left or right after getting a successful guard break, you can circle around your opponent. Many of you probably do this by accident already, but you can use it to reposition yourself. Both in teamfights or just when you are in the corner, for example. It might also work if you are body blocked by multiple people, not like I'd advise you to go for GBs when you're outnumbered. Depending on positioning, it might also allow you to avoid attacks, but don't count on this to work all the time. Alright, number 4. We are staying with a guard break thing. This might also be very basic, but I still see people make mistakes here. When you get a successful guard break, the guard break stun duration only starts the moment you throw your attack. It's 800 milliseconds from that moment on. Just because you waited a little doesn't mean anything changes. Players throw out a lot of guard breaks and oftentimes don't even expect it to land. So when it does land, they sometimes panic and only throw out a light because they are thinking they somehow were too late. As long as you start your attack before the auto counter happens, you will always get your usual punish. This can also be used for ganks where you would want to hit second so you can have the proper setup. Just make sure your teammate is aware of this and they attack fast enough. But with the extra time, this is very much doable. It is also something you can use when trying to stall for your opponent's revenge to run out, for example. The same principle also applies to parries. The stun duration obviously starts the moment you parried, but you can still time attacks accordingly so you get them in the correct order. And while we are on the topic of ganks and gladiator skewer, tip number 5. Pin moves have full guard break vulnerability during the animation. This is very apparent on gladiator as a skewer takes quite a while. Throughout the whole thing, you can be guard broken and you will not be able to counter. You can dodge out of the animation, but depending on the reaction of your opponent, even that might not save you. So don't throw attacks into the gladiator when you see this, because you can obviously be deflected again. Guard break them instead. The move carries a lot of risk when used with multiple people around. Lord Dem made a whole video about this, including all the other pins. It should pop up now, and I will also link to it in the video description, so go and check it out. And that's it already for the video. I hope many of you can incorporate these things in your gameplay. That might not all be game changes, but it's small things that make you come out on top. Remember, new season on Thursday, so there's lots of stuff to discover. Let me know if you're interested in anything specific so I can include it in one of the upcoming videos. For now, I hope this one was helpful. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.